Welcome to Sens Talk. My name is Brandon, and I'm your host. Now, before we get started, please follow me on Twitter at SensTalk_, and on Instagram at SensTalk. Now, before we get into today's 2020-2021 National Hockey League season Senators forward group preview, we're going to discuss a lot of things like my projected lineup. We're going to talk about potential players that graduate from Belleville. We're going to get into everything for the Senators forward group this year. We're going to break down everything. But before we get into that, a couple of things. Firstly, the uploading schedule for Sens Talk is as follows. On January 12th, we're going to have a Senators defenseman preview for the 2020-2021 season. We're going to talk about who's going to be paired with Zapon, who's a breakout candidate, We're going to get into that on the 12th. So a lot of defenseman talk there, really just previewing the whole defensive group. And then January 14th, we're going to have a goalie preview for Matt Murray and, of course, Marcus Hogberg's the tandem. But we're going to discuss our expectations for Murray and Hogberg. Maybe Joey Daccord gets some action. A lot to discuss there as well. Secondly, Sens Talk shotgun tools are available in the link in the description below. We've gotten great support from it. We sold out. We had to make a bunch more. And all the people that have bought so far have said great things. They work great. They love them. So if you want to buy yourself a little bit of cool merch and help support the channel, link in the description below. We would greatly appreciate that. Now, today's video, ladies and gentlemen, the Senators season is less than 5 days away. January 15th, Ottawa will take on Toronto in the opening game for Ottawa. They haven't played since March 11th against the Los Angeles Kings. So it's been a long time. Now, the way we're going to do this is I'm going to break down my projected lineup, and I'm going to go through why I have that lineup as is. Then we're going to go through some Belleville forwards who can potentially graduate this year. Somebody like Formenton, for example. Then we're going to discuss the new acquisitions from Ottawa. Like Go Chanyuk, players that they brought in through free agency or via trade. Then we're going to look at players that potentially need a bounce back or need a breakout season, and then who's going to surprise Ottawa. So firstly, here is my projected lineup for your Ottawa Senators. The first line is as follows. It's going to be Brady Tkachuk with Derek Zapon and Evgeny Dadonov. Now, I would have put Tim Stützle on the first line there in the center position, but Ottawa has made it very clear that they want to ease Tim Stützle into the National Hockey League. So I have him on the second line on the left wing. So I expect mid-season, at the very latest, mid-season, I expect 10-15 games in at least. I think Tim Stützle is such a good player that he'll be able to adapt quickly. But I think Tim Stützle will be replacing Zapon there on that first line. I think 20 or 25 games in, your first line will be Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, and Evgeny Dadonov. But, of course, they want to ease him into the game, see how he does. So Zapon will start on the first line. He's a great player. He's like a 50-plus point player multiple times in his NHL career. He's 30 years old, Zapon, so we're going to get into him a little more later. But that's my first line. You got some veteran presence, Zapon, a scoring threat in Dadonov, and you have a gritty, power forward and Brady Tkachuk. Now, the second line, Colin White. A lot of people may disagree with me here, but Colin White had a great end to the season last year, and DJ Smith has been raving about him, which makes me think Colin White will get opportunities in the top six. So you put him in the second line center position role on a 6-year, $4.25 million contract. You expect Colin White to be able to play top 6 minutes. So I expect with everything DJ Smith is saying, it's all positive, put him on the second line there. On the right wing, you're going to have Connor Brown. He's a great 40-45 point guy. So you have Colin White there with Connor Brown. On the left wing, like I said previously, it'll be Tim Stützle. I think that's a great combination. Like I said before, I want him to be with Brady Tkachuk and Dadonov, and that will happen. But right now, they want to ease him in. And I think Colin White, he is, everyone that plays on the Ottawa Senators, and I've spoken to a few players, rave about Colin White. He's like one of the most popular guys in the locker room. So I'm sure Stützle and Colin White will mesh well and have chemistry because they're similar characters, to be honest. And then Connor Brown is a great NHL pro. So I think that's a steady, good line for Stützle, this ease his way into the National Hockey League. And they're both really good players too. So I think that's a good second line there. And remember, this is based off of my opinion and, of course, news on potential lines. So I'm just basing this off of what's most likely, in my opinion, based off of everything we're hearing. Now, the top 6 was difficult, and I think many people may disagree with my top 6, just based off of, the Colin White pick. I think a lot of people are going to be like, you should have put Turney there or Logan Brown there. I would agree, but I'm just basing that off of the news as well, where DJ Smith is raving about the guy. And I think it is a logical fit with the Connor Brown, who I think he has chemistry with, and Tim Stützle. I think it just meshes well. Now, that brings problems to my third line, like I just said, because you got Chris Turney, you got Logan Brown, you got Alex Galchenyuk, you have all these players. So my Third line is this. I have Go Chanyuk on the wing, on the left wing. I have Chris Turney centering, or Logan Brown centering, and then I have Drake Batherson. The only lock on this line, in my opinion, will be Drake Batherson on the right wing. That's the only lock on this line. I think that center position could flip-flop between Logan Brown and Chris Turney, and I think that left wing position is no lock. I think Go Chanyuk, I think great things about Go Chanyuk, which is why I put him on the third line here. He's had 30 goal scoring seasons in the National Hockey League before. He has great, immense skill. He's a top draft pick, so he is, last year, he's not the same as he used to be, of course. Last year, he was on multiple teams, did not have a good year. But I think that third line against lesser competition will help Alex Galchenyuk find that skill again. But I think Drake Batherson, like I just said, is the only lock on the right wing. He's obviously going to make the team, in my opinion. He's ready for the NHL. But now you got Logan Brown and Chris Turney at that center position. So this is why I'm talking about Alex Galchenyuk. Great player, but he's nothing for sure. So I think you're going to likely see a guy like Chris Turney or Logan Brown push Galchenyuk out of the lineup, so one of them get the left wing position, and then the other one gets a center position. I could see some sort of carousel, and then Galchenyuk subbing in once in a while. That's what I personally can see. But right now, as you can see on the screen, I probably have Chanyuk on the left wing with Turney and Brown in the middle, and then Batherson on the right. In all reality, I believe Turney and Brown with Batherson is going to be the line, and Galchenyuk will get some sub-in minutes. And the fourth line, I like this fourth line, to be honest. Artem Anisimov, he's like a 20-goal scoring center, to be honest. Last year, if the Sanders would have played the full season, he would have been about at 20 goals, so that's pretty good. Austin Watson brings some grit, some fourth-line energy that you need. And Nick Paul is an underrated player, which we're going to get to later, but he is an underrated player. Not enough people rave about Nick Paul. Like Brandon Mackey likes Nick Paul, for example. Not many people, though, do. So I thank you, Brandon Mackey, for being on the Nick Paul hype train like me. But Nick Paul has finally, penetrated through the glass ceiling. He's finally, on an NHL roster, and he's finally projected to be a starter for your Ottawa Sounders. So basically the recap: Brady Tkachuk, Derek Stepan, Evgeny Dadonov. It's a pretty good first line. Veteran, skill, grit. Second line, Stützle with two good NHL. Colin White's been in the NHL for a while, so I consider him more of a veteran type player for a Stützle type of guy. Third line, you got Turney, Brown, and Batherson to rotate in with Galchenyuk. Then the fourth with Paul, Anisimov, and it's Austin Watson. Now, the real question, in my opinion, is how many players from the Belleville Sounders will graduate to the big club this year? I'm talking about players that played last year primarily in the AHL. Now, this group consists of players like Drake Batherson, Logan Brown, Alex Fermenton, Rudolph Balsters, Philip Schlappick, Vitaly Abramov, and potentially Parker Kelly. We'll get to him in a second. So out of that group, I really see Drake Batherson and Logan Brown as the only two regular NHL players. Maybe Rudolph Balsters. I can see him definitely beating out a guy like Galchenyuk for that third line rotating spot. Schlappick, he's more like a taxi squad type of guy. I think Schlappick, Abramov, and Formenton will be in the AHL. Balsters, I could see him. He's on the bubble. I could see him in the NHL. But Logan Brown and Batherson, I think, are for sure in the NHL. And Parker Kelly, I only bring him up. He's been hanging a lot with the NHL groups. Like, there's Group A and Group B for scrimmages. Parker Kelly, and even in the practices, Parker Kelly has been primarily with the NHL players. So I'm not saying he's going to make the team, but I do find that interesting. So I want to throw his name out there because he's definitely a candidate to surprise people and make the team. A lot of people are tweeting about why is Parker Kelly with the top, second, third line in scrimmages. They're giving him a look, and let's see what happens with him. That's somebody, in my opinion, to definitely keep an eye on. Now, new acquisitions this year for Ottawa. Evgeny Dadonov, who I have on the first line right wing position for Ottawa, played 69 games last year with Florida with 25 of those goals, 22 assists for 47 points total in 69 games in 2020. Now, the other acquisitions, that was the best free agent Ottawa has gotten in a long time. Chanyuk, another free agent they got in 59 games last year with multiple teams, had 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points total. Not as good, but if you give him a third or fourth line insulated role where you can monitor his minutes and give him power play minutes potentially, obviously I'd rather those minutes go to prospects, but if you give him that, I think he will produce. Derek Stepan, first line center for the beginning of the season, at least in Ottawa, in my opinion. 70 games played last year, 28 points total, 10 goals, not that great looking, but if you look past last season, look at his previous seasons, he has 50 plus point seasons, and he's only 30, I believe. He's just 30, so there's plenty left, and he's just hitting his prime. Now, I did not mention Cedric Paquette, who we just acquired in a trade a few days ago to start for the Ottawa Sounders this year. I think he's more of a taxi squad type of guy. Last year in 61 games, he had 7 goals, 18 points in those 61 games. He's a penalty to kill third, fourth line type of guy, but I don't think he gets in over Batherson or Go Chanyuk, who brings some offensive abilities as well. But he definitely will draw into the lineup, but he's more of a taxi squad reserve type of player. But I definitely, 2020, 53 games last year with Nashville, 14 points, 6 of those were goals. Now, Austin Watson, I put on the fourth line right wing position. They traded for him and they brought him in, and he's a multi-year contract. So I'm inclined to believe they want him on that fourth line, and he will definitely bring some fourth line energy. So I think Austin Watson is going to be on that fourth line. But maybe he can switch. That could be that position that intertwines with Paquette, etc. Who knows? There's so many. Ottawa has so many forwards, so there's so many options for Ottawa to do. So it really is a day by day approach for the Sens forward group. Now, here are players that need a bounce back or breakout season. Colin White, last year, like I said, I put him on the second line, and this is going to draw some criticism, I'm sure. But Colin White, 61 games last year, had 7 goals, 16 assists for 23 points in 61 games. He had 6 or 7 in his last 9 games last year, before the season was paused. He had 7 points in the last 9 games or something crazy like that. DJ Smith has been raving about the guy. I think it was a bloop. I think if you put him on a line with Tim Stützle and Connor Brown, I think he will be able to produce. And I think, I think Colin White I expect good things out of Colin White. And when the coach is raving about you, especially when you're a younger type of player, he's not just pumping the tires for a trade. He's actively speaking positively about you just because he thinks you're that good of a player. I'm inclined to believe Colin White's going to have a good season. Now, Alex Go Chanyuk, he needs a breakout season because he has not played well lately. 24 points in 59 games played last year. He needs to get his career going again. He's a former top pick, and Go Chanyuk, he needs it now to save his career, frankly. Logan Brown, he struggled to remain in the National Hockey League lineup throughout his career so far, and there's been drama with him as well. His agent kind of tweeting out saying that the Sens should play him, but he hasn't earned it yet. He needs to earn a position, and this is make or break this year. If Logan Brown is not a full-time Ottawa Senator for the end of this season, he will be traded, mark my words. Now, who can surprise for your Senators this year? Well, obviously Logan Brown. If he makes the team, I think he will make most of his opportunity. I expect good things out of Logan Brown. He's a skilled hockey player, and he's still a great prospect. He just needs to finally put it all together, you know what I mean? But Nick Paul's another type of guy. He had a really underrated season last year for a bottom 6 role, and I think he's a good player, and I want people to watch out for him too. And lastly, I think Derek Zapon, I wouldn't normally put him here because I think everyone knows he just had a one-off season last year with Arizona. He's not normally that less of a player, but he's a former 50-plus point player on multiple seasons with the Rangers and even Coyotes. Derek Zapon is going to have a really, really good season, in my opinion. He will be in the top 6 this season. He's going to get all the opportunities in the world, and I think he's going to resurrect his career. He's going to get 60-something points, I think, especially if he's on that first or second line. So Derek Zapon, shouldn't shock anyone for that. They brought him in for a reason, and that reason is veteran presence on the top 6. So I think he's getting a lot of opportunities. But besides that, comment below, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. Now remember, January 12th will be the Sanders defensive preview for the 2020-2021 season, so stay tuned for that. But besides that, like I said, and I'll say it again, comment below, let me know what you think. But besides that, thank you all for watching. Please follow us on Twitter at @SensTalk_ and on Instagram at SensTalk. Check our website, senstalk.ca. Make sure to go to the link in the description below to order your STST. We greatly appreciate the support. Like this video, share this video over share cool stuff, click the big red button down there and subscribe to us, and turn the notification bell on so you get notified whenever we upload a new video. Besides that, I will see you, ladies and gentlemen, on January 12th. Get pumped. Sens hockey is almost back. I'll see you soon. Go Sens go.